What's the boldest thing you ever did without thinking it through? I secretly sold my car to pay for my girlfriend's dream vacation, not realizing she was planning to break up with me during the trip. Jade had been talking about going to Bali for years. Every time we walked past a travel agency, she'd stop and stare at those beach posters with this look in her eyes that killed me. We'd been dating for 3 years, and I wanted to do something huge for our anniversary. The problem was, I was basically broke. My teaching job barely covered rent, and my savings account was a joke. But then I looked at my 2012 Camry sitting in the driveway, the only valuable thing I owned. I listed it online without telling anyone, got $8,500 for it, which was honestly more than I expected. The guy paid cash, and I hid the money in my sock drawer like some kind of teenager. I remember counting it 3 times that night, sitting cross-legged on my bedroom floor. My hands were actually shaking. This wasn't just money. It was the first time in my life I felt like I could give someone something they truly deserved. My dad always said I'd never amount to much, and maybe this was my way of proving him wrong, even if he'd never know about it. When I surprised Jade with the tickets, she actually cried. She kept asking how I could afford it, and I just said I'd been saving up. Technically not a lie, right? I spent weeks planning everything. Downloaded offline maps, researched restaurants, even practiced basic Indonesian phrases. Meanwhile, Jade kept canceling our dinner plans and working late. I told myself it was because she was picking up extra shifts to have spending money for the trip. I was so blind. There was this moment, about a week before we left, when I went to pick her up from work. I saw her in the parking lot, talking to this guy named Ryan. He touched her arm, and she laughed in this way she hadn't laughed with me in months. My stomach dropped, but I pushed the feeling away. The human mind is funny like that, how we can see something so clearly and still choose not to believe it. For weeks before the trip, she seemed distant, but I figured she was just stressed about work. The flight was 18 hours, and she slept most of the way while I just watched her, thinking about how lucky I was. I remember tracing the outline of her face with my eyes, planning our future in my head. Maybe we'd get engaged on this trip. Maybe this would be the story we'd tell our kids someday. Our hotel room had this insane view of the ocean. We'd been there maybe 3 hours when she sat me down on the balcony and said, "We need to talk." I actually thought she was going to propose or something. Instead, she told me she'd been seeing her coworker for 2 months. Said she'd been trying to find the right time to tell me, but there never seemed to be one. Her exact words were, "I didn't want to hurt you, but I don't think I love you anymore." It was like someone had reached into my chest and squeezed. I couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. All I could think about was my car, gone, and how I'd have to face my empty parking spot every day when we got home. A constant reminder of this moment. So there I was, stranded in Bali, no girlfriend, no car to go home to, and an 8-day non-refundable vacation stretching ahead of me. She offered to get a separate room, but the hotel was fully booked. We ended up sharing the room, but not speaking. The most expensive silent treatment of my life. I'd lie awake at night listening to her breathe, wondering how someone could sleep so peacefully after shattering someone else's world. I spent hours on the balcony each night, staring at the ocean and feeling smaller than I ever had before. On day 3, I met an Australian couple who let me join their tour group after I told them what happened. The wife kept calling me the saddest American she'd ever seen, which somehow made me laugh for the first time in days. They took me surfing, hiking, to local markets, basically adopted me for the rest of the trip. They never once made me feel pathetic, even though I definitely was. I never told Jade about the car. When we got home, I said it was in the shop. Then I spent 2 months taking the bus to work while saving up for a used Honda that made weird noises when it rained.